High ticket sales versus tech sales. Which one pays more and which career path is actually worth taking? That's what I'm breaking down today. We'll be exploring the pros and the cons of both sides. By the end of this video, you'll know which path is right for you. So why should you listen to me on this? I spent 7 years inside tech sales. I started as a sales development representative at 22 years old, then went on to lead the ANZ region for US AI company that closed over $7 million, personally earning over $1.5 million in tech. But here's the part that actually matters for this video for you. I've taken multiple people from high ticket sales into tech sales. Saxon was working nights for a US company, absolutely grinding, waking up at 12 a.m. and working until 3 p.m. 7 days a week. Within 3 weeks, he landed a 6-figure role in tech sales at the age of 22. Alex Miles was on 60 grand a year in a high ticket sales role, and 4 weeks later, he landed a $180,000 tech sales role, 3 times his previous income. Now he's able to buy a property while also being able to have a stable income as his newborn arrives. So what is high ticket sales? You're a sales rep inside an education company, service business, or an online course business. You're paid a commission on every sale that you make. So there's no salary underneath you. The product is usually a high price coaching program, course, service, or mentorship. Here are the 2 types of roles in the high ticket sales. You have, on the one hand, you have the setter. So you book appointments for the closer, and usually you get around a 2 to 5% commission or a small retainer. Then you have the closer, which you jump on Zoom calls, run the pitch, and take the payment from the customer. Usually around 10% commission you get for each deal. And most people start as a setter and work their way up to a closer. So I'm not here to bag out high ticket sales. It's a real way to make money, and I know people who do it very, very well. But I want you to see the full picture before you pick which career path to go down, because the choice you make shapes the next 5 years of your life. All right, so what are the high ticket pros? You have an uncapped earning potential as the company grows. If the business scales, your commission check will probably scale as well, and typically there's no ceiling on paper. Number 2 would be flexible hours and location freedom. This is a big one. As long as you have a laptop and good internet connection, that's really all you need to do a cracking job. You're paid a percentage of what you close, and you don't have to work typically like an hourly rate. You're rewarded for the output, and you're not just there to sit down in front of a chair, and that can genuinely be a good thing for most people. It can be a great first step into sales. It's typically a low barrier to entry. You don't need a degree. You don't even need experience. You can start very fast as long as the company is willing to take a bet on you. The leads are typically often handed to you as well. Marketing does a lot of the lead generation, and your only job is to close. So that's a real advantage when you're learning one new skill, which is sales. If you can have marketing delivering you the leads and not having to worry about prospecting, this can be really helpful. You learn genuinely a valuable skill. Sales and communication transfer everywhere, and nobody can take that off you. All right, high ticket sales con. Your income depends on things you can't control. If the business has a marketing problem, your income will drop. You did nothing wrong, it's just the business has a bottleneck itself. The ad account gets shut down and your leads could dry up overnight. You are downstream of decisions you don't get a say in, and so when you want to take and control your life in terms of sales, it can rely actually more on the organic and the paid ads to deliver you leads. It's purely a commission role, and there's no floor. There's no base salary catching you on a bad month. A slow month can be really scary for a lot of people. So you're carrying a lot of risk and none of the security. The financing problem, nobody talks about. I think only business owners would know this, or closers once they've actually landed the role inside the company. So this is the one that costs people the most, and almost nobody sees it coming. So you're genuinely an individual contractor with income that swings month to month. Banks hate that. When you go to get approved for a home loan, they want stability. Fluctuating contractor income is the hardest thing to get across the line. So you can be earning good money and still get knocked back on the thing that actually builds wealth. Compare that to a strong base salary at a large recognizable company. That's exactly what banks want to see. I can speak to this personally. Between me and my partner Gabe, we've built over a $3.5 million property portfolio across 3 properties with 2 granny flats built on them. We did this in under 2 years. That is a household and not just my income, and none of that happens without income a bank will actually lend against. It lacks structure. There's no clear career path, no promotion track, no here's what's happening in 3 years. And for some people need that. It can feel all over the place because it is. Typically you're working for a smaller sized business, and a lot of processes and systems can be out of whack. Offers appear and disappear. 1 month the offer is cash collecting and the business is doing $500K a month. but the next month it's shut down and you're looking for a new role. You're not building a long-term career, you're renting one month to month. If you're in this right now and any of that landed, that's not you failing. That's the model and the industry that you're in. You are not dealing with sophisticated business owners and can be really tough to work for. The market is very saturated and only 5% of good offers to work on, which makes this super competitive. What I find in this industry, typically the business owners already have a good closer on the offer. What can happen when you're new as a closer inside the company? You'll be fighting against each other if there is not good sales leadership. And so I'm not saying this is for all offers. If you have a great sales manager, it can be good, but it can also be tricky. If the offer you are working on don't have a good financing option, it can also be very tough to get paid your commission check because you're not getting paid in full. A lot of closers don't realize this, but if the business doesn't have financing options for the customer, this can be really tricky to close deals. Now, what is tech sales? So you'll be working for a real technology company selling their software to other businesses. It's a real company you're working for and it has real benefits. So typically these companies can size from like 100 employees to thousands of employees. Deals range from small to genuinely enormous deals. So multi-$100,000 to $1 million deals. And in enterprise tech sales, this is very normal. Wouldn't you say that's the real high ticket sales? Sales development representatives and business development representatives are the entry-level point that you can start in tech sales. So typically these are all around booking qualified meetings for the account executive. Now the account executive, known as the AE, they are the closer. So they run the deal end to end, and this is where the money lives long term. So you can click this link right above here if you want to watch a full breakdown of what an SDR, BDR, and an account executive does in day in the life. Beyond that, you have other roles like account management, customer success, implementation, enablement, and leadership. So there's many different roles that you can get into once you're in tech sales. The industry is very dynamic in terms of the opportunities inside. So here's my experience. I started as an SDR at 22, averaging 60 plus cold calls a day, and it was a grind at the start, but it taught me everything of the foundational blocks of sales. I moved to a startup, ended up leading the ANZ region for a US AI company, and I was one of 2 people here, and I closed over $7 million US in business. Here's how it changed personally my life. I grew up in the western suburbs of Sydney, raised by my grandparents, and I had nothing handed to me. My first job was at KFC and lifeguarding, and in 2019, I worked 6 different jobs and still was only making 55 grand that whole entire year. So tech sales is what changed personally my life. Between me and Gabe, we went from 55 grand combined in debt to a $1.92 million net worth of a household over about 7-year period. We didn't have any degrees, coding, or expertise in technical background to break into tech sales. Let's jump into the tech sales pros. The thing I love the most about tech sales as an industry is you have stable income from a legitimate company with unlimited upside. What this means is you have a base salary plus commission. So you get a floor you can actually live on month to month, and the upside is still uncapped. So in the sales industry, you have best of both worlds. And this is the whole point of the video. This is still a career path that is still very flexible. So when you break in as an SDR and you go to an AE, enterprise AE, and if you want into leadership, you can see where we're going here. You're building something, not just closing month to month. There's multiple career options over a long period of time to keep you engaged and not having the same single conversation on that 45-minute Zoom call in high ticket sales where you're pitching the same offer. Now in tech sales, you're on the right side of the AI shift. Watch how AI is reshaping big companies right now. Automation is coming for a lot of functions. Sales is one of the hardest to automate because when a business is signing multi-$100,000 or $1 million deals, they want a human they trust across the table. The bigger the deal, the more the human matters, and that's not going away in either any sort of industry of sales. Now, one thing is when you get into high ticket sales and you have a stable income, banks will actually be willing to lend to you. So a strong base salary at a large tech company is exactly what a lender wants to see. That's how you turn an income into a portfolio. Again, a $3.5 million property portfolio across 3 properties we were able to build in just under 2 years. This is the single biggest structural advantage over high ticket and almost nobody talks about, is actually using your income in regardless of whatever industry you work for to be able to invest in other portfolio options and assets outside of your job. Now, uncapped earning plus equity you get in tech sales. People routinely start on 6-figure packages. The top of the market goes a long way beyond that. And here's the one high ticket can never give you, is equity, ESPP, stock, and shares. You land the right role at the right stage and you're tied directly to their success. And I personally lived through this. The company I was at scaled from around 500 people to a $3 billion acquisition by a 27,000 person organization. You don't get that closing courses. Travel is genuinely part of the tech sales role if you want it to be. So you can travel to places like the US, UK, Asia, if the tech company has HQ offices at those places. And typically if you're working remote, you'll have to go travel to go see your customers. And all the expenses are covered, and it's very rare to do this. Now, when you're in tech sales, you have world-class training for free. These tech companies are funded and have hundreds of millions of funding to invest back into their sales reps. So these companies run internal sales training and enablement programs that would cost you thousands or tens of thousands to actually buy. So you get paid to learn the skill and think about how good that is for your future career growth. All right, let's jump into tech sales cons. It's a high pressure job. Hitting your OTE every quarter is real pressure. Some people thrive in it and some don't. Be honest with yourself about which one you are. The base is predictable, but the commission can be unpredictable. So outside your base, it moves around. So sometimes you have big quarters and quiet quarters. The difference, the base is still there underneath you to make sure that you have a stable income. Rejection is frequent. I think if you're getting into sales, you have to realize you're gonna hear no far more than yes. And that's the job. The outreach grind at the start is very heavy as an SDR seat, and some people give up before getting promoted to an AE role. But it's the entry door and not the destination. You're there to earn your way to AE. Put it in perspective, honestly. Every one of those is about pressure and effort. Not one of them is about security. The high ticket cons are structural. Your income depends on someone else's ad spend, and you can't get a loan. The offer can vanish overnight. The tech sales cons are the price of a real career. Those are very different problems to have. Both options are real ways to make money. Both teach you a skill nobody can take off you. But B2C and B2B selling are also very different. But if you're asking me which one to build a career on and really get ahead in life, it's gonna be tech sales. It provides you a base salary underneath you and it's uncapped commission on top of that. You get equity, actual ownership in a company's success, a career path you can see with progression instead of a ceiling. Also an income a bank will lend against so you can actually build long-term wealth. On the right side of the AI shift, world-class training paid for directly. The credibility of a real company on your CV forever. Now this is my opinion, but tech sales can actually change the trajectory of your life. Saxon did it in 3 weeks, Alex did it in 4 and tripled his income. I did it from 6 jobs and 55 grand a year. So that's both sides, honestly. High ticket sales is a legitimate way to earn, and if you're in it right now, you've already got the most important thing, which is the skill. But if you want that skill to actually compound into a career, into equity, into something a bank will back you on, tech sales is the move. If you want to know exactly how to make the switch, how people with no experience are landing these roles, and how the base, commission, and equity actually work, I put together a free training that breaks the whole thing down step by step. It's the first link in the description below, and go grab your spot. Thank you so much for watching. And if there's something specific you'd like me to cover next, drop it in the comments below. I read them all, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.